Hello beautiful friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got some exciting stuff going on, and really it's one of my favorite things to do. We're seed starting, and specifically we're going to be seed starting our hatch chili pepper. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope it gives you some good information and some tips and tricks on what you need to do to grow hot peppers maybe more successfully than you have in the past, because there's a few things that I've learned that I wish I had been told and I wish that I had known when I was first starting seeds, but I didn't. And it's made all the difference in the world for me to be able to grow these varieties in particular successfully. So let's go on ahead and get this seed starting going. I have gone in and I have pre-moistened my soil, and we are going to be using a potting mix. I know it's controversial, but I have found that I just have better success rates in growing using a potting mix as opposed to a seed starting mix. So if you've struggled when using a seed starting mix to grow, try a nice light loamy potting mix instead. And see if you have a little bit more success. I obviously can't guarantee anything, but I did find that I had better germination rates and more plants come up in a healthy and successful manner than I did with seed starting mix. So what I have here is some hatch chili peppers that we actually have grown on, and this came from last year. So 2023, and what we have been doing is we have been attempting to naturalize our hatch pepper seeds here to our zone. So the good thing about doing that is these seeds typically are grown out west, usually in New Mexico, Arizona. Growing them here has been a little bit of a challenge, but what I have noticed is that using the seeds from our plants that we grow here and reusing those seeds each year, we seem to have better success at not just germination, but they seem to be a bit more humidity tolerant. Okay, so to seed start these guys, I'm going to be sowing one seed in each of these cell structures here. So I'm just literally going to put it on top. Now, a good rule of thumb is however long your seed is, that's how deep it needs to go. So since these are obviously, these guys are pretty tiny. Let's see if I can. So they're pretty tiny. So I'm just going to stick them on top, and then I'm going to kind of just lightly push them in after the fact. I'm not even bothering to put like a dimple in my soil here, as you can see. Now, I am hopeful that I can get all 12 of these to come up, but even if I can't, that is okay. I'm looking primarily to have at least 6 plants for our needs, but as I said, I'm hoping for 12, and then maybe this year I can look at selling some of our hatch pepper here locally. Now, as I said, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly push that down, like so, pat it in. Okay, so now that that's done, I am just going to slide this tag in here like so, so I will know that this cell sec. Okay, so now that that's done, let me give you a little bit of side information on our chili peppers here. Now, peppers really like warmth. So if you are looking at starting this crop, and I would recommend that you seed start this crop rather early on, particularly if you are going to be growing on hot peppers, because hot peppers take longer to really develop and to actually bear fruit. So the hotter the pepper is, the longer it takes for them not only to just germinate, but also to end up fruiting for you out in your garden space. So one of the #1 mistakes that I made in growing my hatch chili peppers was not seed starting them far enough in advance. I'm technically a little bit later than I would have liked, but I did come down with croup, so you know, kind of needs must and all of that. But even still, seed starting these guys does require warmth. Peppers obviously love warmth, they love sunshine. So right now, my main goal is to make sure and keep this soil at about 65 degrees so that I can have germination. Typically, I have not seen germination with my hatch peppers or even anything in the, say, poblano or jalapeno category for about 21 days. So if you are new to starting peppers, just know that it may take a little bit longer for them to germinate, and don't just like panic and put more seeds into those cell structures. Go on ahead and give it the time and the space that it needs to germinate and grow on. Just make sure to monitor your soil, making sure it's wet. Now, I do have a bottom tray in here. However, it is empty currently. I am actually not going to put any water in the bottom of my seed tray until my seedlings emerge, just because that level of moisture is a little bit too much moisture for the seedlings. So you don't want too much moisture for them, but you don't want too little moisture for them. Too much moisture is going to give you a rotten seed that does not germinate, which is kind of not what we are wanting in this situation. And then too little obviously is not going to provide it enough moisture to be able to emerge from that shell that it's in. So we kind of want to have a balance. So I'm just going to make sure that to the touch, the soil feels kind of slightly like damp sand on top. It's not so much important that the bottom of these, so down here at the very bottom, it's not so much important that this down here is damp as much as where the seedling is up here in the top section. That's what I'm primarily looking for. Now, the other thing that I will be using, so I will also be using this guy here. This is just a mister, I think it was maybe $7 over at the big box store. I typically use that primarily because it tends to disturb the seedlings way less than traditional watering methods. And at this stage, that's a little bit important, because if you keep pushing that seedling around, it's not going to really want to take root as well. You're going to keep disturbing any roots that it does try to put out. You're going to be disturbing the stem structure that it tries to put out. So I've found that having this mister is a little bit more effective, and also it's a bit easier to water with. I can just have the thing filled up, give it a good mist once a day, once every other day, and I'm good to go. The other thing that I will be doing for our hatch pepper seeds is I will be using a humidity dome. So this is a very good way to help keep in any warmth into your seed tray. Also, it will help keep the soil moist longer. So this is something that you want to watch if you are using a top at all. That dome is going to help you retain that moisture. So you may only need to water every 2 to 3 days, particularly if you are in a humid environment. That moisture is going to stay inside of this humidity dome way more effectively. Now, the other thing that I have learned is that after the seeds have germinated and have come up, what you are going to want to do is add a little bit of fertilizer into the tray. So once the seedlings emerge, I'm going to put a bit of water in the bottom of this seed tray. And okay, so at the 21-day mark, usually that's when I'm seeing the germination of these plants. That being said, what we need to do at that point, and I will show you what to do when we get there, of course, but I'm just going to go on ahead and tell you in advance in case you go on ahead and jump on starting these seeds and my video comes out a little bit later and you're wondering what to do. At that point, once those seedlings emerge, I'm going to add water to that bottom watering tray. So then it'll start wicking up. It'll start keeping that root structure nice and hydrated and moisturized, but I'm also going to be adding our Fox Farm Grow Big liquid plant fertilizer into the bottom as well. Usually I only add about 1/2 of a cup, but one of the things that often gets forgotten when it comes to the seedlings is that they do need to be fed. So there's only so much nutrients in our starting mix here. We don't want them to stop growing because of a lack of nutrient quality, okay? So I can't state that enough. Make sure that at about the 21-day mark, once your seedlings have come up, you do need to go in and you do need to fertilize. Usually a liquid fertilizer is a little bit easier doing it this method, but you could also add worm castings on top and then spray it in, obviously with your mister or watering system, whatever's working for you best. And it will be a nice slow release fertilizer as well. So if that's a little bit more sustainable for you wherever you are, then go on ahead and do that, because that will also add nutrients in as well. And I will probably be doing that to these guys at about the 2-month mark. So that's all I've got for you on our seed starting hatch peppers today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful if you have ever struggled growing hot peppers of any sort. Hopefully this is going to give you a good firm foundation and a leg up this year on this beautiful crop. So as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and don't forget to check out these videos over here for a little bit more inspiration on some, well, early spring crops that you can grow right where you are in any space. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.